It's simple, really. Great stories with a good cup of tea. It's the Tea with Mike show. On this episode of the Tea with Mike show with Versie Jean, we're talking about music, singing, songwriting, and some of the processes behind each of those different things. So as always, grab a cup of tea, sit back, and enjoy. Alright guys, welcome to another episode of the Tea with Mike show. This is episode 112 of the Tea with Mike show, and for this episode I'm super excited to talk to Versie Jean. Welcome to Tea with Mike, Versie.
Hi Mike, how's it going?
It's going great. I'm excited to talk to you, and the reason why I wanted you on this show is I know we connected through a social media app called Clubhouse, but what drew me to your story, which we're going to get to, and also why I also wanted to collaborate was your energy. Like even through your voice, there was already that sense of connection, which sparked kind of like my curiosity. So that was the reason why I wanted to collaborate with you and have you on the Tea with Mike show.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the same. It was the English accent. I was like, oh yeah, we gotta connect.
I love it and appreciate it. So let's start really easy. Like, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Portland, Oregon. Yeah, grew up in Portland, Oregon, and a lot of people are like, "What's that? Where is that?" But yeah, Oregon. That's where I grew up.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Cool. So talk to me a little bit what it was like growing up in there. What types of environment? How community driven is it? Any of those types of things?
Absolutely. I mean, Portland. We have this saying here called "keep Portland weird." You know, it's a hipster town, kind of. And it was really cool growing up here. You know, I pretty much stayed with my family, went to Portland Public School, and just kind of like, you know, just I had a really, really great childhood. Stayed around my family, went to Portland Public Schools, and, you know, here I was, this kid who loved music and loved the arts and had these big dreams of who I wanted to be. And, you know, it was a great, you know, I feel like Portland, growing up in Portland has been it was just a great place to foster me and who I grew to be.
I love it. So, like, talk to me a little bit about, like, when you were in school, like what was some of your favorite subjects? Was, like, music something that you discovered a little later, that type of thing?
Absolutely. So I started doing music, I guess, yeah, I started doing music in the second grade. I remember making a song about this guy that I had a crush on. And I still remember it to this day.
That's cool.
Yes. And yes, I've been doing music for as long as I can remember. My mother was a local singer, so I just kind of like took after her. And I remember, you know, listening to her write her music and then being like, "Ooh, mom, you should put this part in here as an ad lib and do it like this." And then she's like, "You know what? That's a really great idea." So, you know, I've been always into music. I think my favorite subjects in school, what was my favorite subjects? I'm trying to dig back. You know, I don't remember having a favorite subject. Honestly, I think story time, that's not even a subject, but like
Interesting.
story time, yeah, and like recess, maybe creative writing. Those were like my favorite things in school.
Oh, nice. Okay, so anything creative, anything with that storytelling like element, then.
Uh, You said, can you repeat that question? I'm sorry.
No, it wasn't actually a question. So I'm just saying anything you enjoyed anything that was like creative and had that storytelling element.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I remember, and again, this is not a subject, but I remember we used to have a storyteller come in and she would just tell us the coolest stories while we're sitting, all the students are sitting on the carpet listening to her talk. And I just remember just being so taken away to another world. Like I was so drawn into what she was saying. And I just remember that being like my favorite times in class. Like I couldn't wait until this lady, would come to class. And yeah.
Nice. I'm just thinking back to like when I was in school, and the more I think about it, those were like some of my favorite like times too. You know, those any of those moments of audience participation, like the teacher reading to us on the carpet and the bean bags, and
Right.
any of those things that like weren't like sitting at a desk for the most part. So that's really interesting, that you bring that up, and so. Obviously, I understand that music is a big part of uh, who you are, and also a little bit more broadly in terms of your family. So, talk to me a little bit more about the influence and the impact that your mum's had on your life, especially.
Oh, man. You know, I think this is our dream, like to do music is something that she did and she wanted to continue to do. Now she does things like behind the scenes. We call her my momager, because she's my mom and my manager.
Oh, that's cool.
And yeah, and it's really really cool to like just see how things come full circle. Like she did music and now I'm doing music. And then like most recently I just performed at the Nike sneaker ball, and just to
Oh,
have my
dope.
mom, yeah, it was super dope. And just to have like my mom there, like, just there being like, Tiana, okay, yeah, like calm down, you got this. Like, you know, let me take a video of you. Let me, like, she's just so happy. And it was just really, really cool to see her and to be there with her and be like, yo, like this is in a way, this is our dream coming into fruition. And it's really cool.
That is so cool. So obviously, you said a few moments ago that you started singing like super early, like grade 2, and the romantic crush. So do you remember like if you ever performed it for this individual? How was it received?
Absolutely not. Like I would know. I was too nervous, Mike. Like I was so nervous that I would never. Like, but in class I might hum the beat, I would hum the beat a little bit and think of all these, like I was I'm not going to say I was a weird kid, but I was a weird kid. Like I would think of all these scenarios in my head. And, even when I would play alone, I would think of like, it's weird. How do I explain this? It's like in my mind, I would think of like episodes, like how TV shows come on, Lizzie
Yeah.
McGuire comes on, and it's like I would literally be by myself and be like, okay, narrating like the first day of school begins, and like literally just having a good old time by myself in my room, just creating all these storylines. And I think I would do, I would do the same thing in school. Like, I was focused, don't get me wrong. I was focused, but I would do the same thing in school and, be like thinking of my song when I see the guy. And, the song was really messed up, Mike, because here it is. Just really quick. I had liked this guy in elementary. His name was Byron. So here we go. I had the biggest crush on Byron in second grade. And then his cousin ends up coming to the school. And all of a sudden, I was just like, whoa, like your cousin is everything. Like he's hotter second grade. I'm like, oh, he's cute. He's really cute. So that's what the song was about me having this crush on little Byron and then seeing his cousin and being like, ooh wee, but your cousin is fine. Okay.
Plot twist.
Plot twist, yes.
That's awesome, and changing it up a little bit. Like what? Like obviously, your childhood is very influenced by music. So, is there a particular I don't know, moment or song that cements your interest or passion in music, and you're like, okay, now I'm super serious. This is what I want to do professionally.
Mm. You know, I am drawn to all types of music, like all types. I love rock. I love country. Well, I can't say I love country, but I do. I love certain country songs. They have the best storylines. I love neo soul. I love R&B. So my musical taste, it's a wide range. Um, I don't think there was a moment where I was like, yes, this is what I want to do professionally, because I think it's always been with me. I've always had dreams of doing music. I wanted to be a music artist, but I would say that I didn't always have the confidence to do it. You know, I was very, very shy and nervous, to go after my dreams. And my voice was different. So it's like, oh, you don't sound like this person or you don't sound like that person. So I was like, discouraged. Like, can I do this? And then fast forward to, there's this lady named, she's a pastor, Joyce Meyer, and she says, you got to do it afraid. And I feel like that's what I've been doing all my life I have been doing it afraid. And then it gets easier, and then you're in your own flow.
Nice, and I can see where you're coming from, right? The more that you practice doing something like having a conversation like with different people on the regular basis, the easier like it becomes, and then the same applies to like music or anything you do, right? The more you do it,
Yeah.
the easier it gets, and the hardest part probably about it, and I'll let you speak to it too, is probably finding that consistency and being kind of patient and not giving up because it's hard, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Mike. Like, absolutely. Uh, Consistency. That has been the biggest. I don't want to say struggle, but it's just like, hey, this is whatever you want to do, you got to stay consistent with it. And I have been consistent, but I think there are other times where you're like, you know, um, this is great and all, but like, I want to be here, or I want to be, here. And I feel like it's just so important to trust the process and to stay consistent with what you're doing, and discipline, like bloom where you're planted. So although I have these like major dreams, and now, like, as being a believer, like the Lord has really like, switched my dreams. Like, it's not how I wanted it before, um it's a different purpose to it now. um and yeah, I just feel like, now I've been encouraged to, hey, just bloom where you're planted, use the gifts that you have, cultivate the gifts that you have in this season, and whatever happens will happen.
Awesome. So, talk to us a little bit about. Do you remember the moment when you told your mom that you wanted to be a singer and a songwriter?
um not really. No, I don't remember it telling her specifically that, but there was one time in high school, because I think, although I although I always loved music and wanted to be a singer, um again, I didn't have the confidence to do it. And I've been doing it afraid for a long time. But in high school, I guess that was the real switch for me. In high school was the first time that I wrote my song on the acoustic guitar, and it was about falling in love with my best friend. And yeah, my mother, it, it was my musical theater teacher. His name is Chris Lane. And I always say, like, he was like the first person to like really be like, wow, Tiana, you got something. Like, you got something there. And he had a musical showcase, and I had sung this song that I wrote called Hurt and Broken. And my mother was there. I told her, like, hey mom, can you be here as well? Like, she's like, absolutely, I'm coming, like, I'll be there. And I sung the song with Chris Lane on the piano, and my mom was like, wow, I just didn't know. Like, I didn't know that this was something that was that real to you. So I think that was like the first moment that she saw it too. Like, and she's like, yo, this is what you're supposed to be doing,
Nice. And so you probably don't know, but theater is also a big part of my life. That was one of my favorite subjects in school, was anything outside the desk. So like, it was the environment that I felt the most comfortable in. So I did a whole bunch of like acting, like musicals.
Nice.
I played like Franz the Butler in The Sound of Music. I was in like Oliver Twist. I did some Shakespearean stuff. Joined like my local like youth theater, and probably the coolest one. Yeah, so one of the coolest cultural moments that will stay with me for my life was having the opportunity on several occasions to perform on a Georgian theater stage, like going back to the year 1788. It was it was a small intimate theater in its original format. It's got the wooden stage and the chandeliers and the backdrops and the Shakespearean boxes and the creaky stairs, and it was supposed to be haunted. And they used to store like and they used to store like wine during the war, like there. So that's a moment that I'll never ever forget. Very few people have similar moments, but not many people have experienced that moment. So you talk about those impactful like moments, and the reason why theater, performance, anything entertainment, anything creative, and the positive weight that it brings to the world, that nothing beats it, in my opinion.
No. And even hearing you explain that, I'm like, that's crazy dope. I love that. I love those experiences that are so unique and so artistic. I live for those moments. I think that's just so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And then so let's go. What did you take in university?
I studied business management.
Yeah, oh, interesting. So talk to us a little bit about why business management.
To be honest, I think I was trying to prove something.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I was trying to prove something by going into business management when, I got through, graduated, thank God, we made it through, and it was cool. But I think that I would have had more joy if I would have went for something that actually interested me, like communications, where you can use, graphic design, and you can use all these different things, that I can use that are, I'm going to use this again in my career. Like this will be helpful to me. And same with business. There are things that are helpful with business as well. But I think my college experience could have been a lot more fun. I'm never going to be an accountant. thank God for the people who are, and kudos to them. But
Yeah, we
it's
need them
just
to do
not
our taxes. Yeah, yeah,
exactly like
yeah.
so good for them. But I'm never gonna, that's not something that interests me at all. So having to take those classes and having the school bills like for that class, I'm like, okay, Tiana, you could have done like communications or something that you were actually interested in. So yeah.
Interesting. So I have 2 year diplomas spread out over a period of probably like just over 5 years. The first one is in like technical theater, so all the behind the scenes, so stage management,
Nice.
lighting. Yeah, I don't need to go to tell you all of it because you have a performance background. So that was the first one. So that was cool. Worked in the industry for a couple of years. Still want to do it in the future in different ways. And then I was working, and then I went back to school and I took media studies and professional communication. So all of like,
Dope.
yeah, so all like how to communicate clearly and public relations and all of those types of things. There's a lot of what we did that I wouldn't use moving forward, but I'm still glad that I have, I guess, like a core foundation. Like I understand a few things that other people like might not, and that's like paying off as I develop out and my brand and I get into other professional opportunities and things like that. And we're living in a world where you need to know how to communicate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's really cool because, again, these are things that, like you said, maybe not all the things you'll use, but for the most part, communication, you're always going to have to use that. So these are things that you can use in your career. And, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, and then so what have been some of the most challenging things about your kind of journey so far?
Hmm. What has been the most challenging thing? I would say consistency and um man, I would say, let me think about that really quick.
No,
I'm not
no
going to take
problem.
too much time,
No,
but
take your time. This is conversation. There's pauses, and I'm gonna have a sip of tea.
yes. Um,
I'll tell you. Okay, tell you what I'll do. I'll give the tea fact for the episode. I'll give you some time to think about it.
okay.
All right. So the tea fact for the episode is when tea was introduced to England in 1662. It was apparently for the marriage of Charles II and Portugal's Catherine of Braganza. The dowry, apparently, like the gifts, which is what a dowry is, apparently included chests of tea, and it included teas basically from the regions of Bombay and Tangier, and that comes from teahow.com. So always interesting to learn about the history of tea.
Absolutely. And now that you say it, here I am with like my little Powerade, but I should have had some tea, Mike. I didn't even think about it. I should have had tea.
It's okay. What's your favorite type of tea?
Oh, I would say, I don't drink a whole lot of tea, but like green tea. I like peppermint tea. But yeah, for the most part, like in ginger tea. Like I love ginger tea.
Fantastic. Yeah, green tea is the. I should probably start drinking green tea. I'm a bit stuck on what I like, but green tea has a lot of, as you probably know, a lot of health benefits and that type of thing because of the antioxidants in it.
Right.
So it's supposed to improve brain functionality, lower the risk of getting things like cancer and heart disease. So some pretty
Yeah.
significant things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy how that works. That's what I'm trying to be more mindful of going forward is the things that, you're eating and drinking and, you know, yeah.
Me too. I invested into a personal trainer that I go to
Come on.
every week, and try to think a little bit more also about what I'm eating, like prompted by some health
Amen.
scares in my family and stuff. But like at least I'm still young, right? It's better to realize the significance of the importance of healthy eating and also regular exercise at 25 versus 48, right?
Come on. Yes, that part. It's so important. Yeah. And then if you think about it, it's like you feel better. You feel better when you're taking care of your body, when you're exercising, when you're eating healthy and your skin is clearer, Like,
Yeah. And you just want to do more in
yeah.
life, right? Don't you? It's like, oh, what can I be doing next, right?
Yeah, I always look at it as like my body is a temple for the Lord. So it's like if that's the case, then it's like I want to live, I want to be able to do my purpose. So let me put the right things. Not saying that I've been doing well because I just had McDonald's last night, but like let me do my best to put the right things in my body, eat the right things, drink the right things because it really does affect you.
For sure. And going back a few moments ago, I asked you about some of the challenges on your journey and maybe even what you've learned from them.
The challenges on my journey, it's just like not being so hasty, you know, and reminding myself to just relax, like just calm down, like your future is ordained. That's what I believe in my heart. That God has ordained my future. So it's like in not just mine, but all of ours. Like we all have natural talents. We all have things that we are purposed to do, with our lives. And there's this thing like your gifts will make room for you. And it's like I believe that wholeheartedly. So I think the most challenging thing for me has been to just calm down. Like, I can't make it happen. Like that's outside of my control how people are going to, you know, appreciate my music. Like that's completely outside of I don't know if they will. Some people do, but I can't be like, yo, I'm gonna be Taylor Swift level. Like I don't have that authority to be like, hey, that's where I can say it. That's where I'm gonna be. But like, that's not up to me. So my biggest struggle has just been relaxing and just knowing to cultivate your craft, bloom where you're planted, and whatever is supposed to happen, whatever is already ordained, that's what's gonna happen. But I'm gonna do my part and do my work and put the music out there. And if it's supposed to explode and be amazing, then awesome. If it's only supposed to reach my 4,000 or 100 people or just one person, then you know what? I'm doing what I believe I'm called to do, and at least it encouraged one.
Absolutely. And I think the hardest part is you're right, everybody is unique, and sometimes like we can overcomplicate things. And like in my own story and journey, like it took me a long time to realize like what I was meant to do. But like if without getting too into the mind games and all of that type of thing, this was what I was like meant to do, with all the other things along the way, the struggles and the good moments, and
Come
they
on.
they were all like they were all supposed to like happen, and you're supposed to learn from like what's happened in the like kind of like in the past to strengthen like who you are today, right? And it's your job to make sure you don't repeat the same mistakes and you learn from them, but it's not, as long as it's not harm someone like permanently or any of those types of things, like the mistake is almost okay as long as you don't repeat it. You know what I'm saying?
Come on. you gotta learn. You gotta learn from it. And people say all the time, it's not always a loss. It's just a lesson learned, And I think as long as we are moving forward and progressing forward, even if we gotta crawl, like it's just, or even if we do, like, hey, man, I had to take a step back, but just as long as we're constantly going forward, that's what matters.
Exactly, right. And like 2019 was probably the worst year of my life in like various like different things, both personally and professionally. Like unfortunately got in a car crash. That was lucky that I was still here and the other person was okay. But you think about those moments from time to time, right? That could have ended so differently to how it like ended, right?
Right.
And so you have to be, even though that moment like sucks on so many like different levels, you have to remember that you live to fight another day. So like don't waste that, right?
Right there. I feel like that's one of those things that it like you have to say it with like with power. We live to fight another day,
Yeah.
It's one of those like lines that you just have to, it gotta be like a push to like, a oomph to it. Just like if you say treason, like you can't just say it regular.
No, you gotta give it that. You gotta give it that extra like dramatic tone, right?
Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, so yeah, and then so like yeah, 2019 was like the worst year, but like the 2020 year was for me was like the year of recovery. Like not a lot to show for the first 6 months. I graduated and then I was looking for work in a different city. It didn't quite pay off, and then I finally got a job like working at the kind of the event center near where I was originally living for a bit. And then COVID like hit. I was working at an event, and this is like March of last year, so like it was pretty much March. Yeah, was it March? Yeah, March, maybe April over here. It was a little slower to hit Canada. And so yeah, so that happened, and I remember when I was working a big event, and they came in and they shut it down like right there and then. Like I think they heard it on the news, and then everything had to shut down, and then there's all this uncertainty about no work and what's going to happen next, and in your back of your head you're like, oh, this is going to be over in a couple of months. I'll be seeing everyone in a couple of months, which is what I was thinking in my head, and I'm like, then it turned into what it is, and then I'm like, and then Gary Vaynerchuk launched Tea with Gary V, and like that wouldn't have probably happened if there wasn't the global pandemic, and then I got some exposure from being on that, and then I moved back to where I originally started when I moved to Canada, and I got a new job, and I've been kind of rebuilding like piece by piece, and so 2019 a year of struggle, 2020 a year of like rebuilding, and then probably this year is probably going to be like the best year on record. So it's and it's made and like the Tea with Mike show has become like I'd say more relevant because of the times we're living in. Now as well as I don't want anybody to die, and like and I got a lot of respect for the people on the front line, but in the medical sector or anyone's like supporting that fight, you like it's like if the pandemic didn't happen, like how impactful would Tea with Mike be? Because I was doing it before the pandemic, and while it was cool, it wasn't as impactful. So these moments sometimes happen for a reason, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Right, 100%. And I think, man, it's all a part of the journey, and yeah, I think it's I take the optimistic approach, but seasons are beautiful, like not always, there's some times where it's like you said, 2019 was, it was a difficult year. That's the same for me. It was a very difficult year for me. I ended up losing my nephew, who was murdered. And, that was just such a difficult, it's still a difficult time for my family and I. But through that, it taught me so much, and I wish that I could have the lesson without the nightmare, You know, I wish he would still be here, but I would still know, um, take everything that I've learned now, but that's just, that's the way it goes. But with every season, with the bad seasons and the good seasons, there's always something to learn and take from it.
For sure. Sorry for your loss too.
Thank you so much.
In your bio that you sent me, you told me that your compositions self-revealing. So can you tell us a little bit about where maybe you get the inspiration from for some of the songs that you write and perform?
Yeah, I just try to be honest. I do my best to be honest about how I feel. And that's where I feel my favorite songs come from. They come from my heart. So a lot of the times with my music, I was talking about, a lot of times with my music, I was talking about, me falling in love with a friend, and or me falling, really caring for this guy back in school, back in college, and just realizing that, man, I fell for the idea, of him, and he's, it just wasn't, he wasn't supposed to be in my ordained future, period, but it was me going through that process of understanding, like, man, I really like this person. Why is this not working? And, oh, this hurts my heart. But then to eventually realizing 6-7 years down the line that he wasn't supposed to be a part of my future in that way, and that's okay, because I feel like with God, I'm never going to get the short end of the stick, like, so there's a future awaiting, not just me, but you and all of us, that it's going to be greater than what's behind us.
I love it, and so you try and apply all of that, I guess, mindset and philosophy to everything that you write. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, because that's my mindset now, and I credit that all to God. Like, that's my mindset, and it's just, I love love. I love to talk about love. I love to talk about my relationship with the Lord. Like, I love it all, and that's who I am, and I think that's going to be who I'm always going to be. I'm always going to be honest about my life experiences. So it's not just going to be all about, my music is not going to be all about one thing, but it is going to reflect my beliefs. And as I grow, it's going to reflect my growth.
Gotcha. And so, what's the most challenging part about the songwriting process? Are you somebody that, like, going about whatever you're doing in a day and you come up with an idea and you have to go write it down, or are you someone that, like, this is the room in the house where I write, and I'm feeling I gotta go lock myself away for like a few hours? Like, where do you sit on on that sort of scale?
Okay, so on my phone, I have like 1,000 voice memos. So, like, legit, that's me, like, picking up my phone when I have an idea, and I'm like, yo, let me just like record this really quick, like this little melody. So a lot of the times in my songwriting process, either the song will just hit me, and I'm like, I might pick up my guitar, which I'm still like, I'm cultivating my craft. I'm not like, all the way there with the guitar, but I might pick up my guitar and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, and it just hits me, and then the words will flow. That doesn't happen all the time, though. It doesn't happen all the time. There's other times where I write with my melodies. I might be like, ooh, I really like this melody. So I might hum something, and then I might have to come back to it. But I think I'm in the place in my life right now where I'm like, yo, you're a songwriter. So let's write, let's create. And I can't say that I have been doing that consistently, to just be honest. So I do need to challenge myself and be like, yo, a song a day, V. You need to do a
Oh,
song a
wow.
day. Like, no, that's what I said I need to reach to, you know? But yeah, that's my process.
Nice. And then, so I would probably say, like, based off what you described, like, so you have all these moments as you're going through whatever you're doing in a day. Like, I would probably say the hardest moment is or I would find the hardest is like going back to all these almost like random like voice clips later and trying to stitch them into something that like makes sense, that is true of what you were trying to create in that moment, capturing that essence, but then also makes sense to whoever's like listening to the music, so it doesn't sound like a whole bunch of just random like notes or melodies or whatever you want to call it.
Yes. Can you repeat that last
Yeah,
part? I'm
yes.
sorry.
It's all good.
Excuse me.
Yeah, so good. So I was just saying that based off your process, probably the hardest part about it is like stitching it all together so that it resonates true to that moment of magic or the message you were feeling in the moment, but then also for the audience member who's listening to it like much later on, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So is that something that you get help with, or is that something that you've got as you've written more music, like has it become easier to stitch things together?
Um, like actually, like sometimes I even get my mom to help me. I have a song that will soon come out. It's not ready yet, but it's called "Travel the World."
Ooh,
And I was on my guitar, and I'm like, I'm just vibing. That's my best friend. Hey, got you by my, like I'm just singing like my song or whatever. It's called "Travel the World." It's not out yet, but you know, I was like, Mom, okay, like, what do you think about this? Like, and then she's like, then she puts her part to it, and she's like, she's singing the melody or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I like that. And the song is ratchet, Mike. It's ratchet because it's like it's about going out and having a good time, So, we're like and it's like you're not just by yourself. You're with your girls. You're with your people. So it's like, where we at? Where we going to? Any other place we can go, folks?
oh,
Like it's just real. It's real fun, like and having a good time. And my mother helped me out with that. Um, and I don't remember what the original question was. So
no, no. That's good. It was all about how you stitch things together, but it sounds like it's quite fluid, and you try and keep it as natural as possible to create catchy and relevant and vibrant music. So I stitched it together for you. I think I got it.
gracias.
So when people are listening to your music, oh, I guess we didn't really touch on this. So I know we talked about how you like to listen to a range of music. So when you're writing and performing music, do you try and touch on all of those different styles and influences that you listen to?
Um, I don't think I even think about it, but I think, maybe it is happening, but I just don't know it's happening. Like, oh, that's a little bit of Nick Jonas, or that's a little bit of you know, Erica Badu right there, like I don't think about it. I do what I feel, and that's it.
Nice. So you keep it simple.
Yes, I keep it pretty simple. It's really if it hits me, or if I just really need to get something off of my chest, like, oh my gosh, in school. And that's why I like experiences. I like that. No, I didn't like that I got my heart broken, but like, or that I was extremely disappointed. But those are where my songs, like, when I'm really happy because things are going well, then I'm like, I'm in a happy, chipper mood, and I can write a song about being happy. And oh, or when I'm like deeply like bruised, then I'm like, oh man, like That's where my songs come from. That's where Games, my upcoming song, comes from. That's where Heart, my another upcoming song, comes from. It comes from just a real place.
Nice. And so, what do you hope the audience like takes away like from the song? What messages do you want them to get a little bit more broadly in like when they're listening to a Versie Jean song, whatever the song may be about, whether that's good, happy, the walls are crashing down, or the flowers are growing. Like yeah.
I think we are real people living life, and we have so many different experiences, and it's like, let's be honest about those experiences. Whether you're a believer or not, I'm a believer, so I'm going to be honest about falling in love, which I've never like been in love, but it's like, I'm gonna be honest about, okay, here, this is how I feel, and then, oh, it didn't work out, so now this is how I feel. Like, it feels terrible. Like, like, I want to be honest about it, and I hope through my process of learning, not losing, because we're either winning or learning, so through my process of learning, that other people will learn with me, and that we can grow together, through our experiences, that the story doesn't end in the negative, but that there's still hope. There's still knowing that, what, that career didn't work out, but you know what, I'm never going to end up with the short end of the stick. That relationship didn't work out, but God still got my husband, and it's going to be all is well, So I just go through.
Yeah, no, carry on.
Oh, I just want to go through the journey with the people who resonate with my music, that we can go through it together.
I love it. I like your approach. It's quite simple. You're not over complicating it. You to a degree you're living in the moment, trying to learn from the past, and you're right. It's always ongoing, and I really resonate with you're winning or learning and not losing, and if people adapt that kind of philosophy, they could achieve great things. They could plant some beautiful flowers.
Amen.
Also, and so obviously, I get the sense that you keep quite busy. So how do you look after your own physical and mental health on a daily basis? Because like we talked about earlier, like the better you feel, the more positive you feel, and then the more positive you are, the more that you can impact the world.
Right. No, 100%. So I can't say I've been doing these things perfectly. I have not, like, at all. But some of the ways that I'm trying to take care of myself physically is exercising more. Taking walks has been a big thing for me. It's beautiful. You get out, it's fresh air, So yeah, taking walks has been a big thing. And also, you know, um, exercise and going on, like, I don't go on runs, but maybe run on the treadmill, like, and this is something that I have to just continue to be consistent in, and to do better at. As far as mentally wise, I go to therapy, and not only do I do therapy, I think my belief in God has really just transformed my life. Like, it's changed my perspective, and yeah, it's changed everything for me. So I would say those two things: Jesus and therapy, um, and doing my best to go on walks, and just starting this. It's something that's new. All of this is a new. It's just new habits.
I love it. And so, what is one piece of advice that you would give to an aspiring singer and songwriter? Because anything you do in life is not easy, and there's a lot of things different people may have to overcome, whether it's convincing. Yeah, so talk to us. Give us a piece of advice, or what a piece of advice would you give to someone that maybe like thinks they have a gift and they want to share it with the world, but maybe that like they don't have that many supportive people around them.
Man, ooh, don't I know about it? Okay, don't I know about it? But I would say, do it. Sorry, you're probably like, what are you talking about?
I'm just
But
going with the
like,
flow, keep it simple,
yeah, 100%. I would say do it afraid. Again, do it afraid. It doesn't matter who, everyone is not going to love what you do, you know, and that's okay. Like, you make sure you love what you do, and that there's going to be people who do love what you do. So you focus on that. And that's it. Do it all afraid. Like, don't let fear stop you. you know be courageous. And courageous is not just, you know hey, I'm not afraid, I'm doing this super bravely. Like, I'm not always brave, like, but you know what, I'm gonna do it afraid, and I'm not gonna give up. And that was something that I told myself, that I told myself when I was in high school and I was really shy and nervous. I said, Tiana, you need to do three things. You need to perform in front of your whole school. You need to perform at SEI, which is a program that I was in, amazing program. And then you need to perform at church. If you don't do those three things before you go off to school, I don't want to hear anything about a music career, So I really put that pressure on myself to like go for it and to do it afraid. And I did. And I'm still doing what I love to this day.
I love it. And so finally, like, what's next? What's next for you? Like, what's going on the rest of this year and moving forward?
What's going on the rest of this year is creation. Just create and cultivate my craft, and to stay in alignment with God and my beliefs. And that's what's next. And whatever happens from there, I'm cool with.
That's it. That's interesting. So, like, if I was to ask you this question in 5 to 10 years, would your answer still be the same?
I have no idea. Like, I do not know what I'm going to say in 5 to 10 years. But I think so. I think I like this place that I'm in. And it's really simple. Like, it's not super complicated. It's just like, you know what? I'm going to go with the flow. I'm going to go with his flow. And we'll see what happens. And I'm fine, whether I'm like, what's up, Taylor Swift, who I love. I love Taylor. I love Beyonce. I love, I just love everybody. So it's like, whether I'm like there and, kicking it with them, or whether I'm just chilling, like, and I guess I can't say chilling because I believe in forward motion. Like, I'm not trying to be broke out here. I make a little bit of money, but like, I think I'm just going with the flow.
I love it. Okay, and let's do something that I haven't done for a while. So to close out, because I feel like the conversation and the chemistry is good. So I will open the floor like back to you a little bit, like on Clubhouse. Is there anything that you'd like to ask me?
This is what they say on job interviews. Make sure you have two questions ready. Let me see. I got the questions, Mike. I got the questions. So where did the name Tea with Mike come from?
Yeah, so that's interesting. So the name Tea with Mike, like, actually is we've been talking about like keeping it as simple, So like I was writing lots of different ideas down on a piece of paper, because this was when trying to come up with a name. I was like trying to go down the path of who am I as a person. So there was lots of things on the paper. Was like hates coffee, like loves people, British, and then it first took hours and days to figuring out what I could call it, and then in the end it ended up being something like quite simple, right? Sticking T, which I love, with my name, and that's how I ended up with it. And I'm happy I'm happy it ended that, like, this is the name I came up with, because the advantage of using your name or like 50% your name with like something that you love is like it's timeless, right? It's still going to be relevant, hopefully in like 20 years time. It's not something that's necessarily going to age with trends and that different type of thing.
Yeah, and the cool thing, as you were talking, I was like, you can do so much with your brand, and like just the whole tea with Mike, like, how they do those like little the wing things, the spicy wings, eating the spicy wings with the different sauce.
Yeah.
Like, Mike can have different tea bags, and when COVID ends, you could get like, you know what I mean? Like, it could be different like tea bags that were maybe like, I ain't have green tea today, but maybe like, if this wasn't COVID time and we were in the same state, like, you could be like, here you go
Yeah, so that is my like part of my plan moving forward. I'm actually got my first one like next month, collaborating with a local tea company. So I'm hoping.
Oh, come on!
Yeah, so I'm hoping that's
freaking amazing.
Yeah, so I got to start reviewing some tea and doing some stuff like that, and then like post COVID, I got some cool ideas. Like I want to do some like live in person stuff, like maybe go around to like some local businesses, and I know people that do like live streaming and videography and that type of thing. So we can do stuff in like person, and this is my opinion, like everything, but my town definitely needs some like new innovative forms of entertainment. So I hope to be one of those people that creates like the next like spark. And it would be cool eventually, like have a local arena where I live. It's probably like 7,000 is the capacity. It would be cool to like fill it one day and talk about the power of storytelling, and almost like having an impact like seminar. So you got different people telling their story and like what they've learned. And what I hope to do is to get some like major sponsors, and people don't have to pay for tickets. It's all free because we want these people to be there. And it's all about the power of like storytelling and conversation. It's not a motivational speech. There's a huge difference. Like,
come on, absolutely. I think that's like, that was gonna run into my next question. Like, where do you see yourself like in 5 to 10 years? What is the thought process behind it? But I think that's absolutely amazing. And I think again, there's just so much that you can do with it. And we all have, I don't know, like we all have our own gifts and the things that we're purposed to do. And I just pray like all your desires, everything that you want to happen, and that they come true for you. Like, and I can so see it happening. I love your spirit, and I love how just easy and simple this interview was. Like, and I just think you just have a natural ability, and that's normally how it goes when you are blessed to do something.
Well, thank you. Yeah, people like, and I'm sure this will connect to you too, based off your answer about you just try and go with your perspectives and your experiences when I asked you about if you use anyone's influence in your stuff, right? Like, people, I'm like, would it be cool to have my own like talk show on a major network eventually? It would be cool, but like, if that ever like happened, I would want to do it as Michael Johnson, Tea with Mike, however it ends up, and not draw too many parallels to people that are doing it like right now, because like Ellen DeGeneres or the James Cordens or the Jimmy Kimmels and all the Jimmy Fallons and all those types of people. I just want to do my own version, because there isn't really any new innovative ideas anymore, because like so much has already been innovated. But what you can do is put your own unique like personal like stamp on it, and everybody has that gift.
Yeah. And the thing is, while you were saying that, I was like, we need it, Mike. Like, I don't know too many like, British talk hosts, especially in like the United States, like, like any shows that are up like that. And I think that could be really, really cool. And you know what? When it happens for you, like, I want to come back on your show. And I want to like talk about this and be like, you know what?
I definitely want to do some more stuff in person, like further down the line. And another idea of mine is to do like embark on a major like storytelling tour or something. I don't even want to use the word like podcast. It'd be like a storytelling tour, and travel around like talking to people in their like in their homes or however it turned out,
Nice.
Yeah, maybe I'll maybe the way it ends up is it's like random locations, and like maybe there's some organization on who you're speaking to depending on the layout. But like we're just sitting in. I'd be cool with sitting in a big gigantic teacup with a little like table, like drinking tea and like just like chatting.
Yeah.
So, like stuff like that.
Like a big teacup.
Yeah, a bit like Disneyland style, but
That'd be so tight. Yeah. And the thing is, it's funny because, people make things more complicated than what it needs to be. But it's like, at the end of the day, one thing that I was encouraged to do is do everything that's in your mind to do. So it's like, why can't you have the big teacup now? Like, why not start that now? Why not get that created now? And then as you continue to grow, it's like, then you can even build upon it. Now you got like 1,000 teacups sitting in the warehouse that's like that, or different colored teacups. So like, why not do all the things that's in your heart and your mind now, and think those super creative thoughts, and it doesn't even have to be super expensive. Like, I think about my music and I'm like, I wanted to do what is it, like a visual album, like in 2015. I was like, I want to do a visual album, like, how Michael Jackson has Thriller, and how each song is like a short movie. I wanted to do that back in 2015, and I was like, but I can't, because I need 100,000, which I definitely don't have. But then you can find, like, then I started to see, like, oh, you know what? Here's this videographer who is super dope, who is straight out of college, who is willing to work with me, and who is like, I'll do your music video for $300. You know what? Now we can make a visual album. Now we can, like, find a hotel that will work with you, and I think the same thing for you. Whatever you want to do, like, you want to have that big old cup, do it. You want to talk to Ellen DeGeneres, write her. Like, like make do all that's in your heart to do.
I love it. And finally, before we wrap it up, like another dream of mine would be to like do like reporting on like the red carpet, or like at the Olympics, like interviewing like the athletes, or like the FIFA World Cup, any of that type of stuff would be dope too.
Yeah, honestly, like, I can totally see you doing it. Like, you just have that about you, like, where I'm like, when you were saying that, I was like, I could totally see Mike doing it. Your energy is amazing.
Awesome. And okay, thank you so much, and thank you for being on the Tea with Mike show. I hope you had fun.
Oh, I had so much fun. fun, Mike. Till the next time. Period.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. We'll totally do it again. All right, guys, this was another episode of the Tea with Mike show with the amazing Versie Jean. Definitely leave us a comment, depending how you're viewing this on my website below. Subscribe if you're listening on podcasts. I'm just covering all the bases because it comes out in so many different formats. And if you've got time, watch some other amazing stories. Go follow Versie and all of her creative work. Her links will be below this video because hopefully you're watching on my website. And that will be all for today, So thank you again, Versie.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's the Tea with Mike show.